What are the major adaptations that one can create in their body using exercise?
There are many reasons why one should exercise, and we could perhaps cover that later in our chats. But the physiological adaptations can be bucketed really into 9 areas. So the very first one is what I call skill or technique. So just learning to move better, more efficiently, with a specific position and timing and sequence or whatever that is. This could be running more effectively. This could be practicing a skill like shooting a ball or an implement, swinging a golf club, anything like that. I call that skill development. The second one is speed. So this is simply moving at a higher velocity or with a better rate of acceleration. Okay, that's very similar to the next one, which is power. And power is speed multiplied by force. The next one then, of course, on top of that is force or strength. So those are really synonymous terms, right? How effectively can you move something? Now, this is often confused, strength rather, as muscular endurance. So what I mean by that is strength truly is a marker of what's the maximum thing you can move, or it's the maximum amount of force you can produce one time. It's not how many repetitions in a row you can do. That's actually another one of our adaptations called muscular endurance. All right, so that is typically under the order of like, say 5 to 25, maybe 50 repetitions. Think of a classic, how many push-ups can you do in a row? How many sit-ups can you do in a minute? Like things like that are muscular endurance. Muscular endurance tends to be localized. So this is, specific to just say your triceps and your deltoids. It's not a overall cardiovascular endurance marker or anything like that. So that's strength, number 4. Number 5 is muscle hypertrophy. And this is the first time now we're talking about an appearance rather than a functional outcome. So, moving better, moving faster, moving heavier are indicators of how well you can move. This is the first one that's just simply how big is your muscle, and that's muscle hypertrophy or muscle size. After that is muscular endurance. So this is how many repetitions you can typically do of a movement. So think of how many push-ups in a row you can do, how many sit-ups in a minute you can do, things that are typically in like 5 to 50 repetition sort of range. And it is often, or it is almost always, local muscle. So what I mean by that is a push-up test is really how many reps that your triceps and pecs and deltoids can do. It is not a cardiovascular endurance. It is not a global physiological endurance. It's specific to typically one or a few muscle groups at a time. And this is why you have to do multiple tests for sort of every group there. After that, now we've moved into number 7, which is what I call anaerobic capacity. This is more synonymous with maximum heart rate. And now we're actually looking at, rather than a single movement or muscle group, it is a total physiological limitation. So it is the maximum amount of work you can do in, say, 30 to 45 seconds, maybe even up to 120 seconds of all-out work. Think of your classic interval type of stuff here. So how much work can you do at a maximum rate where you're going to enter tremendous amounts of global fatigue? The next past that is maximal aerobic capacity, and this is probably something like in the 8 to 15 minute range, where you're going to reach probably both a maximum heart rate as well as a true VO2 max, which we'll talk a lot more about what that is later. So that is different from the previous one, where you can't reach this in a matter of seconds. It simply takes multiple minutes to get to a position to where your VO2 max is actually going to be sufficiently challenged, or an indicator there. And then the last one, number 9, is what I call long duration. And this is just your ability to sustain sub-maximal work for a long period of time with no breaks, no reductions whatsoever. This is often called steady state training, or a lot of people just think of this when they think of quote unquote cardio. But your ability to continue movement without any breaks or change or drop is the last and final adaptation.